Hello and welcome to the Two Robbies Podcast, your destination for in-depth discussion and analysis of the Premier League. I'm Robbie Mustoe, he's Robbie Earle, and here are today's topics. Arsenal take firm control of the title race with a 1-0 win against Crystal Palace in what Mikel Arteta called their most valuable victory this season. Liverpool are left stunned after a 3-2 defeat at Brentford. Now Arne Slot must quickly right the Reds to save their title hopes. Aston Villa grabbed their fourth Premier League win on the spin with a 1-0 victory over a frustrated Man City, and Sunderland continue to be the surprise of the season so far, reaching as high as second in the table on Saturday by stunning Chelsea 2-1 at Stamford Bridge.
Okay, my friend, good to see you after your weekend off. I know you were watching plenty of football. I think there's only one place to start at the Emirates. It was Arsenal in the same window as Manchester City played, and they'd just seen Liverpool get beat the day before. A really important game against a Crystal Palace team that we know can cause problems with that system, with the way they play, with big JP Mateta. So what would you overall take on the game, Rob, in terms of Arsenal getting the right result and how they went about getting that result?
Well, you introduced it, Rob, as I did watch a lot of football this weekend, but I did watch the other game. I watched the other game closely, Aston Villa and Man City.
Okay.
So, of course, I just watched the highlights. I saw the goal, the Eberechi Eze goal from a set piece, which, if we've not talked about set pieces enough this season, you know, I can't believe this season's turning into a season of set pieces. I mean, there was so many today on the Sunday. I'm stunned, actually. But anyway, we'll get into that in probably in each game. So I didn't close look at this one, Rob. Did you have your eye on this one?
We did. Obviously, it was on the USA Network, so I had a close eye. So it was on the Pico. I had a close eye on this one. What I would say is, I mean, I thought, Arsenal coming off the 4-0 win in the Champions League against Atleti, a stunning, powerful performance. This wasn't that, I didn't think. Palace, as we know, with that system, can have possession, can create one or two chances, although it wasn't too many shots at goal, which is another strength of Arsenal's we'll come back to. But it wasn't a classic, methodical, surgical, that football that breaks through. It wasn't that day, Rob. It was, yes, reasonable control, yes, reasonable build-up, but not creating an awful lot at the top end of the pitch. And then we have to talk about set pieces being so important to this team. Again, it's a ball from right. It looks like it's Gabriel who gets a header back. And as of all players against his former team, gets his first Premier League goal, Robert. And this goal could be huge. When we look back at this season, wherever the title lands and we start breaking it down, this ninth game, when Liverpool lost, and we've seen now when Man City lost, and Arsenal went on and to put that little bit of space between, I think 6 between them and City, 7 between them and Liverpool, it was a huge day. And I think Mikel Arteta's already said, hasn't it? It's one of his best wins, biggest wins since he's been in charge.
Yeah, I mean, when all the stuff you say there, Rob, it's almost like the chat we had a week ago. Fulham away,
rinse and
set
repeat.
piece, absolutely rinse and repeat. It wasn't brilliant football, didn't create a ton of chances. They get their goal through a set piece and they kind of huffed and puffed a little bit to try and find another goal to put the game away. But because, like we said last week, Rob, their defence is so strong, 1-0 to the Arsenal is a famous chant from years ago, and it's going to be the same chant this year, I'm afraid. And there's going to be games where they find the attacking form
is
brilliantly.
That right now, Rob? Rebecca was talking on the show, and I kind of said, my sense right now is no one else has the confidence that they have in taking into a game where they can feel they can keep a clean sheet. Man City, I think, showed some inconsistencies every now and then. Yeah. Liverpool, as we've seen, is one of those teams. Other sides and thing. When you think they've conceded 3 goals, and the next best is 6 or 7, it's incredible that. I think they've had 1 shot on target in the last 3 games. 1 shot on target.
I mean, it's such a it's unusual, weird season, Rob. I've got to say, even when you look at the league table position of some of these teams in the top 4, and Sunderland and Bournemouth,
and Tottenham.
and you look down at, mid-table of Villa, Liverpool, Man United, Man City, Newcastle at 14. It's an odd season. It's a season where before we've had promoted teams and many teams in the Premier League really try and play silky football.
Yeah.
There's a lot more physicality come back to the league this year. Promoted teams have kind of tooled up with strong, physical, athletic players. Again, there's a lot of clubs now that have specialist set-piece coaches to utilise those guys, players that great spinning the ball into the box. It's been a different, I don't know, mate. It feels like a different kind of season so far. Plenty of time to go. And maybe the best team to deal with these changes are the ones that are sat right at the top of the league right now with what they've got in their squad. So, it's suiting them right now.
Are we getting, though, also, Rob, I was talking to Tim about this, that, some people, it's out there now, isn't it? The set pieces and the long throws and all that. It's breaking up the game. It's changing the game. It's not quite the game we had before. Are we almost? Do we have to be a bit careful about being critical of it and like dumbing it down and they only can win by set pieces or they can only win by corners? When Pep Guardiola came into English football, he was lauded for the inverted fullbacks, the false nines, the goalkeeper who's kicking out from the back and at times kicking long. I kind of feel like because it's Arsenal and because it's Mikel Arteta, people want to put it down a little bit.
Listen, mate, we could debate this actually. I mean, do I like watching game after game with set pieces getting set up from throw-ins to corners to free kicks around the box and the ball being hurled into the box? Got another set piece and stop and start. Yeah. You probably know how I feel about this. I'm not going to say, look at your face already. I'm not going to say,
snob. Football snob.
No, it's not that. It's just like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with winning a title, being great at that. Fair play. Yeah. All I'm saying is, as a general spectator, I'm not a massive fan of it. I'll be honest with you. If I can see a team playing lovely football, creative football, getting in behind, skillful players, clever balls, through balls, 1-2s, dribbles, I'd rather see that than a ball getting flung into the box. But that's just me. And I'm not saying, the climate right now is there's a lot of that and it's working out. And the silky small players, even the ones coming into the league, Xavi Simons, Florian Wirtz, have found the physicality of the league. It's like, wow, this really is like different. So I don't know if I answered your question, mate. I just, I prefer it another way.
In part, and what I'll say is, I'm a component of the long throw and the long ball. I had a whole career out of it.
I know, but does that mean that you still love it?
No, but let me put it another way, and let me give you another suggestion. That Arne came out after Manchester United game last weekend and talked about how they sat in a low block and how they went direct from the goalkeeper to forward and they played second balls. As if, you're not allowed to do that.
No.
The other thing that I also think, Rob, that the managers have to be careful. If you keep on sort of saying, these long throws, as a player, mentally, I start getting, here's another long throw, I'm going to concede. His job is to play their great football that they want to play, but when that ball's thrown in the box, by the way, get somebody to head it, get somebody to mark the people who are scoring the goals that are losing your games.
Of course, mate. Of course. My preference would be to see other ways of most goals getting scored. But if you're in the game, if I'm coaching right now one of the Premier League sides, I'm absolutely gearing up my team for it. Yeah. And we should
you're missing the trick if you don't, aren't you? Are you not missing the trick?
Yeah, of course you are. You can't shun away from it. I mean, I'm speaking as a observer of the league and of games. Yeah. If I'm working in the game in the Premier League on the coaching staff of a team, I'm absolutely going to be all over this. Yeah. I'm absolutely hiring a set piece coach. I am going to try and defend it and use it. And why don't we just move it forward, Rob, because of our next game? Because that's kind of the story initially again with Brentford against Liverpool.
Let me just go back one person. Sorry,
go on then.
I just felt it was. I'd like to give Eze a mention, Rob.
Yeah.
Because I think he's gone to the football club. I think at times he's still challenged by what I think is one of the most developed systems and intricate systems of playing that I still think he's working out where he actually fits and where his position. I think he's got 1 goal in 10 up until today, which was a League Cup against Port Vale. So for him to get his first Premier League goal today, I thought was huge, Rob. It's a match winner. It's a 3 points. And I just feel there's so much more of Eze to come for Arsenal fans. When he gets the confidence, when he finds a spot, when he gets used to the way they work the ball, I just felt like, on a big day for him today, let's just give him a little mention and hope to look towards some of that football you're talking about. Because when somebody's in a low block, when somebody's, difficult to break down, he brings something different, Rob, that Arsenal haven't had. And I think it's an important option for him to have on days when they drew 14 games, I think it was last season, and that lost him the title.
Yeah, listen, I'll follow up on that because, of course, I'm watching him very closely as well because we all see what he did at Crystal Palace. Yeah. And I think we spoke many times, Rob, about, he looks really talented. Why isn't a big club come in for him? Obviously, Arsenal did, but it kind of took a long time. Initial kind of impressions at Arsenal. And when you sort of started saying there, your point about Eze, I thought you were going to say, coming into the side, dealing with the expectation, the excitement. He's an Arsenal kid. The fans wanted him. It was kind of a fun way. He got the move. He phoned the manager. He's in the team. The expectation's really high. This is a big club. This isn't Crystal Palace, where if he can have a quiet game or two, that's okay. I think he has. I think we've seen flashes of it. I think you're right. I think it's going to take him a little bit of time to affect the game more consistently in the 90 minutes. And I think that's what, because I know, we all know he's super talented. Yeah. It's just that really innate kind of quality of making yourself impactful on the game, getting involved, getting a bit busier to get on the board to do his stuff. Yeah. That's all. I just need a little bit more of that, and I'm sure he's going to be a huge success at the club. But he, like you said, he's just finding his feet a little bit in a different system, in a big giant British club that's expectations are a little high.
Going for a title, by the way, Robbie. It ain't about finishing second. It's about going and winning a title. So you're right. We'll obviously keep an eye on that, but certainly while Martin Odegaard's out, you sense that he's going to get plenty of time. And it was an important goal today. Let's go to the Brentford, Robert, the G-Tech, because this was a game that everybody was looking after. Liverpool had won in the Champions League, and the British club pretty much hammered everybody in Champions League football this week. But going to the G-Tech, going to Brentford was going to be a different kind of challenge, mate. And I'm afraid, yet again, for 4 straight games now in the Premier League, they've come up short.
Yeah, conceded goal early again. Long thrown into the box. Ouattara with a brilliant finish at the back post. Yeah. Kirkez maybe could have done better, but again, it was a long ball in that wasn't dealt with. Ekitike was there. Van Dijk was there. It was flicked on. The same story from Liverpool. They're behind. They start chasing. I mean, there was some, I guess, key players were out injured. You had Frimpong out. You had Gravenberch out. You had Alexander Isak had a knock because he got a little muscle problems. Changed a little bit. So it was very much, Rob, the same kind of story this game. And I guess we'll carry on with Liverpool, Rob. We'll certainly give Brentford a love a little after. It's just when I'm looking at it, Rob, and I know everyone's it's another defeat. That's 4 defeats on the spin of Liverpool. The obvious question from fans and even neutrals is what is going on at Liverpool? Yeah. Now, I think it's a pretty clear and easy answer for that, and I think there's always combination, but the first part of this combination, Rob, is the existing players. So, you're talking Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk, Alexis McAllister, Connor Bradley. The players that were there have been there. Number one, they are nowhere near the same level, right? They are nowhere near the same level. That's easy to see. Yeah. Now, that will come down to the individual player and the coach, who has to try and get the best out of the players. I would say, have they returned back from a title-winning season as hungry, as excited, as motivated to do it again? And I'll go back to the Arne Slot quote, whether it was the end of last season or beginning of this, saying, I know that these are Premier League champions, but have they got elite mentality? Meaning, can they go back-to-back and do it again? Yeah. And the existing players' performance so far would indicate not. No. Of course, we have to mention the tragedy of Diogo Jota and how that affects the ones that were existing.
No one can measure that, Rob, and nobody can tell you what that effect is having on the dressing room.
Absolutely right.
Absolutely something that has to be mentioned. But we're not, moving beyond that horrific incident that happened for the football club. We're talking about Liverpool now on the pitch against Brentford, and I suppose for me, Rob, the couple of things I would say is, I totally agree. People, if you think of last season's title, and you think of Mo Salah, you think of Alexis McAllister, you think of Virgil van Dijk, they were pillars, mate. They were giants, giants for them. Reliable, consistent, getting the team out of trouble at the back when they need to, scoring goals at the other end when they had to. That's gone. That's not there anymore.
I'll tell you what is there, Rob. Sorry to interrupt before I forget. Those two players that I didn't mention on that group, there's only two players that are playing at their normal level. And I think you can absolutely easily see it.
Yeah,
it's Cody Gakpo and it's Dominic Szoboszlai.
Absolutely.
You can see those two players, for whatever reason, they are the same players as last year, and all the other ones are not. So that's just fact. And I'll just finish this point, Rob. Of course, the second part of this is the new players. And, different reasons why they found it difficult to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
You throw that all in together with the tragedy and everything else, the existing players, the new ones, and it kind of, you're seeing it now of why they're not the same Liverpool as last year. Yeah. Lots of change.
There is lots of change. And to that point, and I think I mentioned it last week on the podcast, and I'm going to do the same again. And I know Kirk has scored and actually came off. But for that reason, Rob, I want to get back to basics. I want to get back to Robinson next to Virgil on the left. I know Robbo isn't going to be quite the athlete he was 2-3 years ago, but his experience, his relationship with Virgil inside him, Cody Gakpo outside him, Alexis McAllister or Szoboszlai infield, those connections and relationships, I think, where Liverpool have to get back to as a base. And if they've got to dip one or two of the new boys in as time goes on, or as injuries or thing, then let's get back to that. But I just feel, Rob, as though, the other day I'm looking at the defence, and it's everybody's playing for themselves. It's an individual thing. There's no unit.
Rob, I think it's obvious that the fullbacks have been a problem, right? That's a real problem.
Absolutely.
All I would say is that last week, I went back on some of the access we've got to the games and stuff, and I went back and looked at every goal conceded by Liverpool, and obviously they had a pretty good start, but a lot of the goals conceded in general play, Robertson's on the field.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying it was his fault or whatever, but there's been a lot of criticism of Kirkes, and of course, he's looked shaky.
Yeah,
we saw it firsthand. But I don't know. I think I know what you mean by Andy Robertson, but when I look back, I thought, well, where's these, what the root of all these goals?
Yeah.
And there's no one root, of course, but Robertson's on the field a lot for those goals conceded, not quite getting quick enough to get back to track back for some of the goals, I remember. But he make a good point. And I think going back to basics, Rob, in terms of Arne Slot's, I think he said before, right, and he keeps saying, second balls, physicality, set pieces, and duels.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Stephen, our colleague Stephen Warnock was on commentary in this game, Rob, and he said at one point about Liverpool, they look a soft touch. And I couldn't agree more. Yeah. They look a soft touch. Mo Salah is a brilliant player, but he's a little small, and sometimes he's not going to be physical. Florian Wirtz, that we mentioned earlier, he gets pushed off the ball a lot. He's a little lightweight for this league at the moment, and other players that are not really committing, as if, for whatever reason, the hunger's not there. They look a soft touch.
To kind of give a slight argument to Wirtz, Rob, and I think we all know when you've paid $156 million or whatever it is for him, and you've seen him play, in Germany in the Bundesliga, and then for the German national team, he looks a different player. I think from his point of view, Rob, and I'll just spin this a bit of a different way, if Liverpool were right on top of the game, he might look very different. If we're winning duels, if we're midfielders are in control, if I'm getting in good possession in good areas. But because they're kind of a bit all over, he hasn't got any base to start with. And so I feel a little bit sorry for him, because he's come into the, if he was in Liverpool's team last year, he probably will be like McAllister.
It's a great point, Rob. It's a great point, because you're the sort of player that when you're dominating and you're controlling games, give it him, because you're getting tons of the ball. Give it him in great spaces, and he'll make things happen. When the ball's when the game's a bit, nobody's got possession. It's a bit you get it, I'll get it. A bit physical, a bit second balls. Then he's not at his best, and there's a lot of challenges and duels. He's not at his best. But that's an interesting point, And you had to sort of think from last year's midfield. Why are you going to add Florian Wirtz into that?
Yeah.
And to see it now not all gelling together is kind of crazy. When some of the thought process, Rob, of a lot of people in the game, Liverpool, what they did, what they spent, the players that they got, it's like, wow, look, do we need to show up?
Yeah,
we need to show up with all these players. Amazing. The game keeps you humble. It really, really does for Liverpool. Yeah.
Well, we talked about a lot of Liverpool players who are not up to speed. Talk to me about a player you were really impressed with in this game, mate.
Well, for Brentford, mate, my underappreciated performer this weekend is a player I think we've talked about.
Yeah, we've mentioned him a couple of times before, I think.
Michael Koyada.
Yeah.
We've talked about his long throw-ins. He's 21 years of age, Italian defender. They got him on loan from Fiorentina. Yeah. He went from loan to permanent. But it's not just that for him, for me, and watching in this game and other games. It's his energy, Rob, and his dribbling, and his kind of speed, and his enthusiasm. He'll overlap. He'll run inside and dribble. He'll dribble. He's good at dribble and dribble and dribble. He can through ball. He's good defensively because he's so quick. He's big. He's powerful. He's 21 years of age. I just think he's underappreciated. One to watch because of his age and what he's doing now in many assets of the game. We could have talked about the manager, Keith Andrews, that was doubted. We both talked about him as well. And because of the expectation with Keith Andrews, it's his first job, but he's never been a head coach. He's always, he was a set piece coach before, so the expectation wasn't great for him. But to beat Man United and Liverpool in the last couple of weeks, Rob, 2 or 3 weeks, is pretty stunning. And to pull off, he's gone back to basics a little bit with Brentford, Rob. Yeah. It's physical, it's long balls, it's set pieces, it's strong. I felt like they lost a lot of good things, of course, in the summer. But as you said before, the recruitment's good at this club. They got a lot of good players in many areas. But Coyote, I wanted to give him a special mention, underappreciated, and just one to watch for people because, gosh, he's quite the player.
Yeah, and I think, Rob, they're the kind of team that once they get possession, a little bit like maybe Forest used to do last season, if you defend well and have your structure, Dam's got some player, by the way, man. The ball he's played through for Shorter for the I think it's a beautiful balls, through the centre back. I also want to mention that this kid up front, Igor Thiago, 24 years of age, Brazilian, struggled with was out with knee injuries. Yeah. I think it's 6 Premier League goals now, mate. I think that's him. Or, you know what I mean? You've lost Wisser, you've lost Mbeumo. It's a couple of seasons before that you lost Tony. You lose a manager, yet still at the top end of the pitch, they got a guy who
because they keep getting good recruitment, Rob. They keep buying good players. You get a habit of buying good players, you're going to be all right.
But fair play to them and to Keith Andrews. It's a good point with Keith Andrews. And a couple of things I've loved. I've loved the hug with Eagle Thiago last week against West Ham, I think, when he scored. And he'd been out with a lot of time with injury. And Keith had spent some time with him when he was set-piece coach then. And he said, we built up a relationship. And I just thought that the spirit with the team yesterday, getting that win, Liverpool coming back into the game and then winning it 3-2. I just thought that fair play to this guy because there wasn't many people saying, there's a lot of thought around this time. They'd probably be struggling. They might have to get rid of him and get somebody more experienced in. But this football club know what they're doing. This football club ownership know what, in terms of recruitment, in terms of the right people. I was hearing all the things that coming out of the football club that he's way more than a set-piece coach. They look at him. He's got a lot of respect. He has a good say with Thomas Frank and. No, they're in good hands, mate. They'll be absolutely fine. And it was a great win. Another famous day at the G-Tech. Yep. A bad day for Liverpool, though, as they go 4 straight. And to the point, Rob, I think you talked about it, and I just need to ask the question. Liverpool have lost 4 games now. Yeah. They lost 4 games all of last season. Yeah. Yeah, they got a different target. They can't afford to lose 2 or 3 more, can they? No, for me, they've got a different target. The target now is top 4. Mm-hmm. For me, don't see it. I don't see him winning the title. No. I mean, like with my data and all that and numbers and losses, the amount of losses you can afford is 5 or 6, and that's pretty rare. They've lost 4. They've got 29 games to go. The way that they're playing, the gap that it is right now, the amount of teams ahead of them, don't see it. Yeah. Don't see it. I think they've got to go for top 4 now, Rob. That's what their target is. And again, that's maybe it's a little bold, it's a little early. I just can't see them winning the title from here. I really can't, and it's so I can't believe
that I'm saying it. But again, when I see 4 losses at this point in the season, it is 4, isn't it? Yeah, 4 losses.
4 losses, yeah. I looked.
They're 7 points behind. There's a lot of teams between there. I just can't see that. That's going to have to be some run between in the last 29 games to get, assuming that one of the group at the top are going to keep doing what they're doing. So, yeah, what do you feel, Rob?
I'm the same. And the biggest thing I think, Rob, is they can't be trusted to keep a clean sheet.
No.
They cannot be trusted to keep a clean sheet.
It's 9 games,
that's going to happen. Yeah, 9. Then you're going to, you're going to concede goals. You're going to draw some games and lose some games. And until that base gets back, and maybe Alisson back in goal, maybe helping, it gives him a little bit more security and know-how. Not that Mohamed Ashvili's been at fault for any of the goals, but back to basics, get a few familiar bodies back in the team, and obviously try and put some kind of run together. A team who were putting some kind of run together were Aston Villa. They're in good form, Rob. Hosted Manchester City. They've beaten City the last 2 times they've played them at home now at Villa Park. You make that 3 after today's game. Matty Cash, who's having a bit of a time of it himself. He was close to being my underappreciated Matty Cash with a beautiful goal. Is it a simple case as Haaland doesn't score, Man City struggle to win?
Well, it seems pretty simplistic. But it is a little bit. But there was more to this game, Rob.
Okay, you were watching this one, yeah?
Yeah, this one I watched, and I just thought it's probably my favourite game to watch this weekend, actually. Quality football. Aston Villa played really well. Like, their passing was crisp first half. I mean, Man City knocked the ball around lovely. Phil Foden looked silky in midfield.
He had Reinders, didn't? Did Reinders sit as the deepest midfield player? Yeah.
Yeah, and John Stones came in at times, Rob. So he did that hybrid role. So he came in alongside Reinders, which allowed Foden and Bernardo Silva to go forward. They were knocking the ball around pretty well. And they were back to their trying to high-press Aston Villa.
Okay.
Which is like, wow, okay, like this from City. But Villa's football was so good, played through them many times.
Wow.
And their football had to be good.
Yeah.
And again, set piece. Set piece is a winning goal. It kind of came out. It's kind of an odd, I think maybe a set piece went wrong. It came out to Matty Cash, who had a brilliant first touch and a really great shot for the goal. But their football was just, I thought, really good. Like, that's Aston Villa, and fair play. You got Ollie Watkins running around at front again. I just thought the football of Villa through the middle thirds, like, with the middle area of the field. Morgan Rogers was top form again. John McGinn was excellent again. Yeah. You know, their football was really, really bright, and it's so different to the early Aston Villa. And again, it's just how football amazes you, how a team can look so off it and so flat and so stale.
And yet, games, Emery, they were really poor. Yeah,
and the fans were down, and maybe a hangover of not being in the Champions League. But whatever he's done, Unai Emery, he's got them going again, Rob. And first half was very impressive for me. They're into the break at 1-0. Second half is different, Rob, because, why not? They got forced back a little bit, happy to sit back and defend deep. Yeah. And they got stretched. They got stretched a lot because City played good football. Yeah. City aren't that far away. When we think about goal scorers of the past of Man City, they've had tremendous wingers scoring, goals. Like, scoring wingers has been a thing for Man City, as well as everybody and goals from midfield. And we talked about it a few weeks ago that this is kind of great for Earle and Haaland, but who else is going to score? And this was a game like that, Rob, really. And we did have a chance first half, Earle and Haaland. Villa did a great job. They let him go once. He got through, and Martinez made the save. But the other goal threats from your Savinhas and your Oscar Bobs, they don't look like they're players. They're young, that are ready to score a bunch of goals, right? So if you haven't got that, we know you got the striker. Midfield, Foden he can, and so can Bernardo Silva, but not quite happening right now. So it is still the issue.
To a broader point then, Rob, because I didn't see this game, saw the highlights, and then I was reading before the game, though, that Pep had talked this week in his presser about he felt the hunger's coming back. There's a drive about his team that, we want to get back to winning things. Was that evident then today, you think? Yeah, there was a bit of that. Because that's, I think, the thing that people have thought was missing this time, whether it's from the manager or the players, that they're not quite as hungry as they were. And if you're not quite as hungry, you're not going to win it.
No, that's why I enjoyed the game, Rob, because City looked at it. Yeah. They looked at it. They zipped the ball around. They pressed like they try and strangle you in their own half. but Villa's football needed to be and was really, really good. There's no problem with that today, Rob, in terms of the hunger.
Yeah.
It goes back to the end product from certain areas of the side and the end product, goals and assists in the wide areas, particularly. Jeremy Doku came on second half, I think it was. I prefer him at the moment than Savinha and maybe Oscar Bob as well, but they're just not getting the end product of assists and goals from anybody else other than Earle and Haaland. So this is what people talked about. We talked about it, was a good example. That being said, Villa defended well, but they were absolutely stretched, Rob, second half. I mean, Pau Torres made a clearance off his shin that went over the bar from 2 yards out. I'm sure you saw that. They got stretched. The goalkeeper was worked. They had to pull out all the stops. But it was one of those days at Villa Park, Rob.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about Villa Park.
Yeah.
Big
Villa
atmosphere.
Park without fans, with those atmosphere.
Good record against Man City. Up for the game. Villa playing well again. It was really good. Yeah, it was really good. Good to see Villa back.
Let's go to one of the stories of the season, my friend. Chelsea 1, Sunderland 2. Newly promoted Sunderland sit in the top 4 of the Premier League on 17 points. And at this rate, mate, by Christmas, they're going to be safe. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is incredible. And Regis Lebris, wow. I just, this has taken me by surprise, mate. I know, and why it is because promoted teams recently are buying so many players that you don't know what you're going to get. And Sunderland, it seems.
I was doing the Sunderland game, Rob, and I was doing the lineups, and I just wanted sort of in my head have a mental block, and I think I ticked off. I think it was 7 players who were bought in the summer. Yeah. You know, who played today. So it's a very, very different looking team from the team that came out of the Championship. But you know what, mate, and you know, I've done a little bit of reading up. You know, wanted to get a bit more background on Sunderland. Obviously, a team coming up. Is that they had the profile, they've got the players, they feel they've got the manager, they've definitely got a way of playing. And despite going 1-0 down, Rob, after 4 minutes at Stamford Bridge, and you could think, you know, things are going to get a little bit ugly here, they stayed in the game, their football's good, they created 1 or 2 chances, they get themselves an equaliser, and in the end, they get themselves a last-minute winner. And the scenes at the end, Rob, were as good as scenes as we've seen all season. You know, those fans have gone a long way down to South London from Sunderland. You can imagine what time of the day they were leaving. And then to go to, you know, Chelsea, the glamorous, high-spending billionaires club, as it was being called, and to go and nick, well, not nick because their football was good, but get the 2-1 win late on is incredible, mate. And 17 points, 4th in the table. Wow, they've had an unbelievable start that must give them a chance of staying in the league.
Yeah, they got a great chance now, Rob. They've got 5 wins. They sort of say 10 wins and you're almost there. They've got so many more games to get those wins. And it wasn't a smash and grab, Rob.
No, it wasn't.
My early note of Sunderland was, wow, how positive were they?
They can play, mate. Yeah.
They can play, and they you can see how confident they are right now. The support's there. I always talk about it every year about the euphoria promotion. You're on a high from being in the top flight again. They started off great, and that continues. The away support, the team and the fans, Rob, are very connected at the moment. You know, they're both they're feeding off each other. Again, there's so many new players in there. It's really hard for people like us to try and predict what they're going to do. Wow, powerful, physical, quick to counter attack, strong at set pieces. I mean, I think Wilson Isidore was a threat throughout the game. I think they got a goal from a set piece, didn't they? I made my note here. There's so many set pieces.
Isidore from the throw that came in and was flicked on and they react. I tell you what as well, Rob, tactically, and again, I've kind of, for some reason, Sunderland's become my new best friend. So I've been, you know, looking around them. They've got this centre-half, Dan Ballard, who Mark Gui started up front and Pedro was behind him. Ballard bullied Gui, wouldn't allow him to get a hold, so Chelsea couldn't build up through the front lines that they like to and get the midfield players in. And another thing that he did really smartly, Rob, and only because I've had some in a couple of weeks that I picked up. So Trey Hume's normally a left back. He played him on the right side of midfield, outside of Mukiele, who was a defensive player, and he basically said every time Cucurella comes into midfield, you pick him up. And he nullified the effect, because you know how Chelsea either like to get whether it's Gusto or Jake or one of them in, he was ready. They had a game plan for it. And when he went back to left back, he played on the right side. And every time Cucurella came in, he did a job on it. And I'm looking at this, Reggie Slibbish, I'm saying, this is a smart cookie, mate. He's got it, things lined up. And I also think, Rob, one of the biggest things, you've talked about promoted teams and playing at home and the euphoria of winning. One of the biggest things you have to have is a goal scorer. Now, many teams, and there's a list as long as your arm of championship strikers who come in the Premier League and just can't get the numbers. Just can't quite make that step up. The game's quicker, the defenders are better, chances are harder, all that. Sunderland have a young man called Wilson Isidore, my friend, who got club by 13 Premier League goals, including the playoffs, which they came up last season. I think that's his 5th or 6th now. I think he's on 5 or 6 this season with the goal he scores, which reacts really well from the long ball. He's talented. He looks like he's got a bit about him. I saw his interview after the game. It was him and Talby had, the nice bit of banter about them and sitting so high in the table like they can't quite believe it. But, it's so easy sometimes to go, right, I've got to go and find a centre forward who's going to score me goals in the Premier League and go and try and take Callum Wilson or go and try and take, Jamie Vardy. He obviously believes in Wilson Isidore. He's got a bit about him, this kid. Plays from that left-hand side and he's getting goals and he's playing in the front line that's looking like he can hit double figures, mate. From a championship striker coming into the Premier League and hitting double figures and more would be a magnificent thing. So it's like a shout out to, players making the step up and making a mark at the next level, because it's not easy. You ask Alexander Isak how easy it is. He scored loads of goals at Newcastle, but struggling a little bit now. And Beto at Everton and the likes. There's there's so many centre forwards who've come into this league and found it difficult. Sunderland have got one who knows his way around an 18-yard box, and he looks like he could be one of them. An Ollie Watkins type, an Ivan Toney type, go on to the next level.
That's a lot of kind words for Wilson Isidore.
Because I think Rob, he's one of those who there's more to come. He's a decent footballer as well. There's more to come. He's not just a goal scorer.
Yeah, I remember Kevin Phillips talked about us, Rob, didn't he? Kevin Phillips.
Right. Yeah, we had a bit of time, didn't we?
At the Fan Fest, and he sort of, I think I asked him a question about Wilson Isidore. He's the guy, and is he? Can he do it in the Premier League? And he was very positive, very up, basically saying like, I think he's got a little bit of all sorts in the way he plays, and I think we've seen that. Rob, he can run in behind. He's got good physicality. Yeah. He can finish as well. So good shout, and pretty amazing victory for Sunderland.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he's your underappreciated performer.
He's my underappreciated performer of the week. Sorry, did I not give him the crown? Sorry, Wilson, I didn't crown you before. Yeah, my underappreciated performer of the week, Wilson Isidore, the Sunderland forward.
Brilliant.
Okay, mate, let's get to some other results, because there was one that stands out. It means that there's 3 straight wins in the Premier League. It means that they're turning the corner. It means that Manchester United are back in the title race and Ruben Amorim's manager of the year, my friend. Manchester United 4, Brighton 2. I suppose, Rob, all the questions were, having won back-to-back eventually, having beaten Liverpool last weekend, could they have some consistency? Could they keep this run going? Are we starting to see signs of the improvement that Ruben Amorim's talked about? And, we can forget a little bit about the system, forget a bit about personnel and individuals and all that. Can we concentrate on Manchester United and winning football matches?
Yeah, good day for Manchester United, Rob. And, I have a smile on my face when I see the Man United lineup and I see the front 3 that were brought in. And apart from Benjamin Šeško, a kind of plug and play. Yeah. We've seen so much of Cunha and Mbeumo. You almost know they're going to work out great. And I think the improvement in the team, Rob, is literally down to better players, literally down to better forwards. The forwards are fit now. They're in the side, playing together. You're starting to see how that affects the likes of Bruno Fernandes, Rob. Yeah. The combinations that he makes now with those front players. It's not just the 3. It's how they combine with others and make other teams better in the side. So when they go forward, there was some moves, Rob, that were like, there you go. That's it. Like, little clever little 1-2s or balls around the corner or link-up play and switching out wide. You know, there's still areas of the team that I cannot sit here and say, this looks brilliant now. I still not a massive fan of the wing-backs. I still don't think I can trust the centre-backs, Rob, most of the time. I still worry when I see Bruno playing alongside Casemiro. But when you've got better players in the team in that front area, then the attacking play should get better and the goals should be more. And they are going to concede. They conceded 2 goals at Old Trafford against Brighton. Yeah. They were at periods in the second half looked a bit dicey. Until
Brighton's football's good as well, by the way. Brighton the ball.
There was moments there, Rob, when I see United playing high with the ball, back 3 spread out, they're in the opponent's half, knocking the ball around. That's Amorim's football. Yeah. That's what he envisaged. 3 at the back for build-up. Everybody else, Ahmed really high, Dalot really high, 2 central midfield players holding, 2 number 10s behind a striker. Yeah. That's what he wants to see. But when their football, it generally isn't great, and the other team has a lot of the ball, you have some of the ball, they have a lot of the ball, that's when the system looks bad. Yeah. But when they can control it, dominate possession, then you see a approach and a style and a shape of the team like many others are doing, by the way, in possession. So lots to be positive about, particularly the front players, Rob, and how they're improving the team and others around them.
Yeah, I think, you've hit on what I thought. It was the first time I kind of sat back and saw a little bit more control in the opposition half. That, we've had an attack, and then the shape around it was good, and they kept it, and they worked from one side to the other, which we see at Arsenal, and we've seen at Liverpool, and we've seen at Man City, but we haven't really seen it at United. United sometimes have attack, the ball turns over, and then they're running back, having to defend. So I thought that was one of the big things. I thought Bruno's, it almost looked to me, Robin, we had a couple of breakdowns where Luke Shaw actually went in on Rutger, really who was a problem, and it allowed Bruno a little bit to go and do his bit a bit higher up the pitch. And then you drop back again. And those are the things we were talking about, the flexibility of a system. Yeah, he's playing centre-back, but at times, if Rutger goes in there, and we talked about Rutger last week, being how important he was and how he could say, Luke Shaw did a really good job of shutting him down. Really good job. And what if he doesn't go in there, right? If Luke Shaw doesn't go in there, then what happens? Those 2 in the middle of the park get outnumbered even more. Yeah. So I like that. There's a lot of things I liked. There really was. I'll tell you what I did like. And our great friend Peter Drury, and I hope he doesn't mind me kind of replaying his. He had a great line. Then I think just even the first goal went in, Rob. Yeah. And he said, I quote, "A hint of an Old Trafford we once knew." Yeah. And he talked about the joy of the players, the joy of the fans, the songs that the fans sing. Old Trafford has been incredibly supportive of this team and managers. And I remember Gary Neville saying that they never turn. And that's anyway, they've had some frustrating times, but when Peter Drury said it that way, this is an Old Trafford that we once knew, it felt like that for the first time. And some of the football that those Man United fans have been used to, they want to see it again. Yeah. It looked a little anxious late on. I think that's natural, but signs for optimism, Rob. I am not in any way getting excited and going to go. It's a little bit early, But those front 3 particularly. It was very encouraging. So it's interesting, Rob. Just a couple of things. So a couple of things in terms of just going back to that front 3. Šeško that did look good. The combinations looked good. The balance was good. They had good support. Let's go back a week ago. He plays Cunha at the top end of the pitch, and he plays Mountain and Burmo underneath him. So. Are there days when it'll be the front 3 with Šeško, and days when that might not be the best way to go? That's a great question, mate. And I think that's something that I think we should expect. Yeah. I know. I'm sure Ruben Amorim's a ton more smarter than we are, Rob. And sometimes, you feel like that's a good performance. Yeah. Let's have some continuity. Yeah. Let's keep the same 2, the same 3 up midfield, the same. But he has a tendency to change players for certain games. Yeah. He did it in the last one. I guess you've got to trust him, haven't you? Yeah. He got it right last weekend. He changed Maguire. He changed the front man, and it works. And I'm just wondering if at certain times he's going to look at the opposition defence and how they play and change things again. He might just change things a little bit differently. Yeah. But the other thing, Rob, that again was just a conversation we had, and I think when our research looked into a little bit more, but the whole thing in Manchester United when the players ran out, and I don't know if it was something you saw, it came to me straight away. I said, that's the most flags I've ever seen at Manchester United since I've been watching. It was like flags everywhere. There's Roy Keane flag, there's Cantona one, there's this one.
Don't they have flag days, these clubs, Robs?
I don't know
remember
if
our club, you have a flag
and I
day.
don't know if it's a flag day or it was something, but I believe it was something that was being done purposely behind the scenes to help lift, and a bit of a turnover. So, listen, everybody's playing their part, everybody's doing their little bit, and listen, I just thought one of the key things I thought with the win, Rob, was at 3-2, and it was getting a bit anxious and nervy, and you're nervy for them, really, because you're kind of thinking, is it going to, are they going to get through? And then Brian and Burma run through and smashes it in the top of that. That, for me, was Man United. That's what United used to do. When back in our day, when you play United, you think, oh, you might get it to 2-1 or something. You think, have we got a chance? And the next minute, they'd break away and Giggs and Scobbles and Beckham and all these
Van
people
and Cantona
would
and
smash
all
something in. That's how they used to put their anxiousness to one side. And it was a good day, great day for Ruben Amorim, the 3 straight wins, and now hopefully he can start to move forward and be look at a more successful period. We just watched this morning, mate. Everton 0, Tottenham 3. Set pieces again. I think this one, 2 corner kick routines from Spurs. One gets headed back from Bentancur for Van der Ven. Van der Ven then beats Pickford on the second one to go 2-0 up, and then Papsar with a pretty easy finish to make it 3-0. Look, disappointing for Everton. First home defeat, good home record. Incredible away record for Spurs, Rob. I was looking, Spurs have got 17 points, 13 of them come away, which makes you feel like if they could sort things out at home, I mean, bizarrely, you look at the league and Tottenham are sitting third in the table.
I think the way that they play, Rob, is very suited to away performances, isn't it? They're not expansive. They're total opposite of Ange. They're not expansive. They don't really demand the ball a lot of the times. They're very happy to sit back, to counter-attack, to be good at set pieces, again, which they are. And Mickey van der Ven looks like a real threat. One of those big centre-halves that attacks it really well. They did it great. I thought the third goal was good as well. Papsar from midfield. Richarlison's header's perfect in the path of him. I watched a game that was 2 set pieces and then Spurs sitting back and defending. And when they got people in shape, they're pretty strong at it. I mean, I thought Everton played some good football. It's funny. It was like
a little bit. There's no real
cutting
edge, is there?
No, there's no cutting edge. Iliman Ndiaye is a star. Love watching him play. I'd go and pay money just to watch him play, Rob. Really talented. I know what Jack does, Grealish on the other side. But the Beto or whoever it is up front, Barry, they're just not at the same level. It's funny, Rob, because I looked at the game and I thought that is what David Moyes has done to so many teams in the past, where he's good at set pieces, they're physical, they soak it up, they maybe score on a counter-attack as well. And Everton's had a good run at that stadium. And I'm always interested. Lee Dixon talked about it being there for the first time and seeing a magnificent stadium with these steep bank sides that helps with the sound and stuff. So we haven't been yet, have we?
So no.
Yeah, love to go there at some point. But other than that, Rob, and that's what Spurs are. When they're at home, mate, and they got to make the play and be expansive and be creative, I think it's harder for them. But, I mean, not a bad way to start for Thomas Frank. What are they now? They're third in the table, Rob, on 17 points.
Yeah,
after not really looking amazing, but being efficient.
It's absolutely not going to be exciting and the roller coaster ride of Ange. It's not going to be that, Rob. And I think Spurs fans will have to get used to that. But it'll be football in a different way. And I just think sometimes, Rob, it's attention to detail, those little minor things that he's prepared to work on. He's just left a Brentford team that do the set pieces, that do the long throws, that play direct now and then. He does what it takes to win football matches. And I think that's something that Spurs fans, I think, will come to enjoy if it brings success in the way that Thomas Frank does. The other thing I would just say about Thomas Frank, and it's just a quick one, this guy is such a great communicator. There was a great shot at the end of the game today where he's got Mickey van der Ven and he's pointing to him to the Spurs fans as if to say, come on, give him some love. He's got the 2 goals. He's really important to us. Remember him
connecting.
Last week he did it with Kudus at Leeds. Kudus scores a late goal a couple of weeks ago. He jumps on at the end of the game, gives Kudus a big hug, almost like, you're my boy. He's without doubt already got a connection with the group of players. And I always just thought the fans as well, away from home, and plenty of them had travelled to Hill Dickinson Stadium. He's got that connection with the fans. I think you kind of think he's a good bloke, Thomas Frank. I wouldn't mind to have a beer with him. And I think if you can connect with the fans, you connect with the players, puts you in a really good position, strong position, Rob, if things just are not going quite as well as it would be.
Yeah, it gives you a little bit more credit, doesn't it? I think what we're going to see is when Spurs fans are going to be disappointed, it's going to be when they don't create much. I think there is, my brother's a Tottenham fan, and he says sometimes when they go forward, it doesn't look like there's a ton of creativity. There's some pacey players. Brennan Johnson, I kind of like, and got a game today. But I think when they don't win, it's going to be because of that. They're going to get plenty of victories the other way, and they're going to be good all season away from home. But it'll be a different disappointment. Last year under Ange, it was like craziness going on. They're disappointed with the end-to-end nature. It's going to be the other way around here. But we'll see. Again, it's a great start. And I think you make a good point. I think he and a few other managers right now are really good at connecting the team to the fans, and it buys you a little bit of leeway when things don't go so well. They've had a couple of knockbacks, haven't they, at home?
They got beat last week, didn't they?
As well. They've had a couple of...
Let's go down to Bournemouth, my friend, where a story continues down there, and maybe it's not getting all the headlines. Bournemouth 2, Nottingham Forest 0. Forest team led by Sean Dyche, who took hold the Europa League game against Porto midweek, got his first win. Everything looked a little bit brighter, but went down to Bournemouth and got beat 2-0. Tavernier with the first goal direct from the corner kick, and then Junior Krupi with the second goal. Let's talk Bournemouth first, mate. And Andoni Earle. We've had him on a podcast, didn't we, recently, and spoke to him, and he talked about the pre-season, about the players, about the Tyler Adams and the mix. And I mean, are they a top? Could they be top six? Could they stay in the top six? Is there enough good players and quality? And I mean, the goals get spread around a little bit. Is there enough there, Rob?
Yeah, there is. I think there is, Rob. I think there is when you think about the attacking players. We all know the story of Bournemouth. They lost, 3 of the back 4. They lost a goalkeeper, but they still got a lot of good attacking players. And Evan Nielsen, Justin Kluivert is fit now. Semenyo. We know what Tyler Adams does in midfield for them. Junior Krupi. It all comes back to recruitment. If you keep picking up good players like Brentford do, like Brighton do, like Bournemouth do, then you're in good shape because you've got good players immediately, good players for the next 4, 5, 6, 7 years, ones that you can sell. If you make dud signings, you're in trouble. And Bournemouth are a great story right now. I can't believe what I'm seeing. My table says they're second in the Premier League after 9 games. I mean, it's fantastic, and what a great guy. Again, another guy that they'd love to go for a beer with. I'm sure the fans are loving they've got the club. But what a nice mix of, Rob, of a Spanish kind of, I guess, heritage and style mixed in with his Basque upbringing in English football, and he has incredible intensity and physicality that I didn't think was going to be a hallmark of Iraola, based on what we've known of him in the past. I used to commentate on his games when he played for Athletic Club in Spain. So an amazing story at the moment. And why not? When you've got that much attacking flair, Rob, and you got, he's a defender at heart, Iraola, and they've got a good defensive record right now. Why not? Why not top 6? Yeah.
Absolutely. Obviously, Sean Dyche, we're looking for better days. I thought there was a really telling line after the midweek game against Porto in the Champions League when Morgan Gibbs-White came out and almost said, "We can breathe again." Almost felt like there's a weight lifted. I'm not sure what was going on behind the scenes. Not sure if everybody was happy with the system or what was being played. But it almost made me feel like, oh, this is Sean Dyche has already got in there and he's going to work this thing out for them.
Yeah, and the connection, Rob, again with him, with Wone, with Stone, the two former Forest legends that are on the bench with him, alongside him as coaches. So
all that helps, doesn't it? At times?
It does help, and it'll be back to basics for them. Sean Dyche style, block up sharp, limited sort of enthusiasm to attack. Maybe there'll be more of that because there's probably some better players there than he's had before with the restrictions at Everton and Burnley. But we'll see. First things first, he's got to stop them going down.
Yeah.
He's got to avoid relegation because they're in that fight.
He's got to stop the goals going in, which is generally his thing. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, mate, let's quickly get through what we've got left. Newcastle 2, Fulham 1. Newcastle left it late. Murphy with the goal, Lukic equalising, then Bruno Guimaraes last
Yeah.
Almost last kick of the game. Important win, this one, for Newcastle, because they kind of were a little one of those teams you're not quite sure where they're at. They're very much mid-table. That win takes them, did they go now? To 12th.
12th,
Yeah, 12 points, which is important for them. So, yeah, good win for Newcastle at the tune. Obviously, Fulham, we know you have to respect Fulham, the way they set up, the way they play. A little bit of disappointment to concede so late. This was an interesting game, Rob. Wolves 2, Burnley 3. Burnley were 2-0 up. Wolves get back to 2-2. Have a couple of chances maybe to go ahead themselves. Burnley score late in the last minute, then have a chance. And then, Rob, it looked like there was a bit of unrest between maybe some of the fans and some of the players, and certainly the manager didn't look happy. We're not quite sure what happened. And there was a bit of you getting sacked in the morning. Don't know if that was the Burnley fans or the Wolves fans, but not great for Victor Pereira after doing what he did last season, Rob. I mean, no wins in 9. Starting to get to pretty serious territory.
I know it is, but I mean, you sell the best players, and the poor coach gets in the neck, doesn't he? He did a brilliant job last year. He did an excellent job, an outstanding job to pull this team back together again with real clever tactical work and find a way to get enough roles to stay in it. They sell Aït-Nouri and they sell Mateus Cunha to Manchester United.
Yeah.
You can't keep doing it, and I think we know this is probably going to go. They're going to struggle to win games. He's probably going to lose his job, and somebody else will come in and won't do any better. Maybe they will do better. Yeah. But with the squad that it is now, you're stripping away the talented. I mean, this was frustrating, and because you think you get back, and then it's the worst, isn't it? When you're playing at home, we've been in this situation, Rob, where you feel like you're getting something, you get a sucker from a team that you would expect to play well against and to beat. I understand the frustration.
Especially a promoted team, newly promoted team as well, who you're up against. And you look at that bottom 3 now, Rob. And
they needed it.
Sunderland are up there. Leeds are picking up points. And Burnley now have got that win. So, yeah, we'll have to see how that one plays out. But not good time for Wolves at the moment. And then the final game, we did this on Friday night, was Leeds 2, West Ham 1. One of them games, Rob, where West Ham are on a terrible run. They've had a poor performance against Brentford recently. And you're kind of thinking, you've got to go to Ellen Road and you've got to go in for 15, 20 minutes and get at it and make sure, you're in the game. They're 2-0 down after 15 minutes, Rob. 2-0 down after 15 minutes. Eventually get a late goal. Fernandes, who came on as a substitute, flicks one in. But I've got to be honest, mate, it is alarm bells time for Nuno and West Ham. Absolute alarm bell.
Yeah, well, I did the game last week on the Monday, and then they had the turnaround, quick turnaround to Friday. We both saw the games. It is amazingly shocking to see how bad they are right now.
They're in trouble, mate,
He's making some odd decisions with fullbacks and stuff, but I mean, you got to get a bit odd.
The other side, and
I mean, Scholes for the first goal, Rob, that gets beat at the back post for the header, right? That is just not Premier League level. No, that's just not Premier League level to be that passive.
To be fair to the kid, he's probably used to looking over his left shoulder, being in the left back.
Yeah, he's on the other side.
You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Which I don't think, we were doing the game and Cora was hosting on Friday, and she sort of said, where does the fault lie, between the manager and the players? And I kind of said both. It doesn't look to me as though Nuno's created the environment that is required, that there's a solidity about them, Rob, where you think, well, at least 15 minutes, they're 2-0 down away on a Friday night.
I mean, normally that's what he's good for, Rob, isn't he?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Again.
So that's what's been his MO. That's what he did with the Forest team that got him into European football. So are we now looking at some of these players and saying, by the way, they cannot be good enough?
Might not be. Yeah, that might not be.
Good enough.
I've talked about Max Kilman before, where he struggled.
Yeah,
Scholes on one side. Wan-Bissaka's been ball watching at times, where you normally assume, or you kind of think he's a decent defender on one-on-one. So I mean,
I would have to question, though, Rob, in the midfield where you got Thomas Souček, who we know what he does particularly well and can be a goal threat, and you've got Andy Irvine, you've got Magassa and Fernandes, who've both been bought, both athletic, both can get about on the pitch. You've got $8 million worth of talent, and you're sitting there on the bench.
Yeah, no, you're right. There is some odd things he's doing right now, but maybe it's Nuno's way of sifting through things to try and
the Callum Wilson thing also feels a bit strange, doesn't it? Like, doesn't want to get him on the pitch, or I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too much, but West Ham's one of the clubs. So when we went to work on Saturday morning, we got told that there's been an official statement from West Ham, and they're not considering.
No. What statement's that?
I know,
is that just trying to find a little? Is somebody trying to find a little I mean, do me a favour. There's no statements yet. I just think we're jumping on this stuff. We shouldn't be jumping on it.
Said it came from, it was a West Ham had put it out. That's what I'm saying. West Ham had put it out, saying that, almost to like put an end to the talk that it was going to be, which I think even makes it worse. Like, West Ham don't know after anything. Carry on and do what you do. Concentrate on getting your club in the right shape.
Get behind your manager.
Absolutely. Yeah. Support your manager, support your team. But we'll have to see how that one plays out. Right, mate, we do a quick preview of an upcoming game for next week. The focus is going to turn on Liverpool after the defeats they've had and the goals they've conceded. Liverpool host Aston Villa, and you talked today about resurgent Villa, who kind of really played with an intensity at home to Manchester City. They go to Liverpool to Anfield next weekend, which is not quite as daunting as it used to be. How do you see that one? What are we a week into seeing some change? I know there's a bit of League Cup action in there for a few teams midweek this week. But
I think pass for Liverpool. I think. Yeah,
Aston Villa facing Liverpool. Well, not the kind of team Liverpool would be wanting.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I can't wait for this game because I've just watched Villa, and they play some blimmin' good football. And with Watkins made a lot of good runs. Morgan Rogers made a lot of good runs. It's going to be a difficult game for Liverpool. If they're not strong midfield-wise and defensively, Villa will score. And that's why it's going to be a fascinating match. Arnestad's got to earn some money now, mate. He's got to sit them down and come up with a structure, come up with some motivation, come up with some hunger, come up with some drive, come up with some energy. Light a fire. They got to show us some spirit, mate.
Like champion spirit,
Yeah, like it's been very passive, and things are going to just automatically happen, or what? So
I wonder if there'll be another meeting. There was a big meeting one. Then Virgil van Dijk this week. Well, I remember Man City having one back in the day, and then they went on to winning the next 15 games. So
it wasn't a great meeting. It couldn't have been a great meeting, but maybe there's going to be another meeting. But they got that's an interesting game because Liverpool have got plenty of attacking players. I'm sure Ekitike will play. Mo Salah, we didn't mention that, mate, but what a good goal he took.
Good finish.
What a brilliant goal. What a lovely finish.
Yeah, left.
So maybe he'll be a bit
right foot,
livelier now. But that's going to be. I would be tempted to, if I'm going for a winner there, I'm going for Aston Villa.
I think it's one of them at Anfield. I think where Liverpool will get back to business. Just get the sense. I mean, they've got Crystal Palace in the League Cup coming up this week. Yeah, I think that's on Wednesday.
Is that Anfield?
Anfield on Wednesday.
Okay, that's
interesting. They got Aston Villa at home. Whether he'll change one or two people around, rest one or two. But obviously that's a tournament that they probably will still want to win as well. All right, mate. That's going to do it for this week. On a weekend when it was another 3 points, another clean sheet for the Gunners. They sit proudly on top of the table. United win 3 on the bounce, and Sunderland sit 4th in the table. Bravo to Lebris. We'll be back next Sunday, that's November the 2nd, to recap Matchweek 10, when Arsenal go to Turf Moor, Spurs host Chelsea, and Liverpool face resurgent Villa that we just previewed there. But for now, I'm Earle. He's Mustoe, together with 2 Robbies. Thanks for watching and listening. Be safe, stay healthy. It's a good night from me.
And it's good night from him.
Good night.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host of NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock.